Welcome to the 700 Club. Puerto Rico faces a long recovery after getting hit by Hurricane Maria and its 155-mile-per-hour winds. Now many people there are desperate just for food and water.
President Trump is promising help for Puerto Rico. CBN's Operation Blessing is also on the scene there, bringing solar lights, first aid kits, and much more. Heather Sells has the story.
1 week after Hurricane Maria struck, Puerto Rico is still stuck. 4 in 10 here have no drinking water. 95% of the island has no electricity, and 58 of the 69 hospitals have no power.
People are running out of food. They're fighting.
At the San Juan airport, Puerto Ricans and tourists have been waiting for days, hoping for a plane. Those who do get out are deeply worried for their loved ones left behind.
I left back my family, friends, and co-workers, and I'm here. And they have, they don't have water, they don't have light. They don't have so many things that they need.
The elderly are suffering greatly, especially those in stifling hot apartment buildings. FEMA has already provided 4 million meals and 6 million liters of water to the island, but it's not nearly enough. The mayor of San Juan is begging for more help.
But President Trump, please, whatever you need to do, let FEMA do their job.
On Tuesday, the president reaffirmed his commitment to Puerto Rico as he discussed how hard the island was hit.
But that island was hit as hard as you could hit. When you see 200 miles, and even more than that, 200-mile-an-hour winds hitting a place, and literally houses are just demolished. It was like tornadoes.
The president is defending the federal government's response. His critics say he's not doing enough and getting distracted by other issues like the NFL. The president says that's simply not the case.
Was I preoccupied? Not at all. Not at all. I have plenty of time on my hands. All I do is work.
But the president does acknowledge the challenge of responding to Puerto Rico right after Hurricane Harvey and Irma. Plus, the government cannot deliver supplies to Puerto Rico with its usual convoys of trucks. All must be delivered by air or sea. One ray of light literally in all of this, thousands of solar lights that Operation Blessing has begun distributing. Here, you can see the San Juan mayor giving one to a child. Operation Blessing is coordinating the delivery of large-scale purification equipment for the island, along with first aid kits. It will provide clean drinking water and work to help avoid even worse health problems in Puerto Rico. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Well, we're there in your name, delivering much-needed aid, and fresh water seems to be one of the top ones. But food, relief, we need to do what we can for Puerto Rico. And are we stretched thin? Yes. When you look at what we're doing in Texas, what we're doing in Florida, what we're doing in Mexico, you have another disaster. But the people there need help. And so regardless of whether we're stretched thin or not, we want to go there and help them and be a part of bringing them relief, to let them know that we love them and we want to show that God loves them too. If you want to be a part of it, all you have to do is call us, 1-800-700-7000, and say, I want to give to the Operation Blessing Disaster Relief Fund. You can write us at that address, CBN Center, Virginia Beach, Virginia, 23463, or you can go to cbn.com. But call now. Let's get together and help those in need in Puerto Rico. Well, in other news, the Ten Commandments judge has won the runoff race for the Republican Senate nomination in Alabama. Ephraim Graham has that story from the CBN newsroom. Ephraim?
Gordon, Alabama Judge Roy Moore defeated incumbent Senate Luther Strange. Moore had strong support from evangelical voters and anti-establishment Republicans, including former White House strategist Steve Bannon. Strange was appointed by the White House in the race to fill the seat vacated by now Attorney General Jeff Sessions. As Alabama's former Chief Justice, Moore was twice suspended from his job. First in 2003 for refusing to take down a display of the Ten Commandments from the lobby of the State Judicial Building. And then again in 2016 for refusing to enforce laws about same-sex marriage. Moore now goes up against Democratic nominee Doug Jones. That election will happen in December. A new report says some of the money Americans send to the United Nations is actually being used to educate Palestinian school children to commit acts of violence against Jews. Rabbi Abraham Cooper of the Simon Wiesenthal Center says schools funded by the United Nations Relief and Works Agency provide Palestinian students with textbooks that never acknowledge the state of Israel or a Jewish presence in the Holy Land. One book teaches 7th graders a poem called The Martyr. It includes a verse that says, "Weapons clash is pleasant to my ear, and the flow of blood gladdens my soul."
You'll see poems that extol martyrdom, that will invoke some of the Islamist language, but really for the nationalistic goal of a complete Palestine.
Rabbi Cooper says instead of promoting peace and a two-state solution with the countries for both Palestinians and Israelis, the textbooks help to promote a one-state solution in the Middle East, and that's a Palestinian state without Jews. Israel has closed 2 Palestinian villages a day after an apparent lone wolf Palestinian terrorist murdered 3 Israeli security personnel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called on Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas to condemn the attack. Palestinian Media Watch Director Itamar Marcus says the Palestinian Authority is to blame by supporting terrorism with honor and financial rewards.
The first thing that happens is the family receives honor, and this is critical. The honor that the family receives, every potential terrorist sees this as well. And the second thing that happens is financial rewards. In this case, the wife and children of the terrorist who murdered yesterday will be receiving 2,600 shekel, about $800 a month for life.
Marcus says the West could help the situation by cutting funding to the Palestinian Authority. Gordon?
Well, this is something we've been reporting on, and we still don't see any action out of the State Department. There is a bill that was proposed in the Senate to cut funding, but there's an out in that bill where the State Department, if they affirm that there's progress happening towards peace, then the funding will continue. It's much like the out that currently exists for moving the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. That law was passed in the 1990s, and here we are 2 decades later, and the embassy still hasn't moved. So what are we to do here? We have substantial support going from the U.S. and the UN to the Palestinian Authority. Without that support, the Palestinian Authority doesn't exist. Here's what they're doing, and these are the broad numbers. 1/3 of the money that is sent to them goes into what we call the Pay for Slay program. It goes to pay martyrs. Terrorists is our word for them. They call them martyrs, shaheed. And they think that they're holy people. The religious advisor to Abbas says there's no way we'll ever approach the holiness of the prophet. The only way we can do this is to give our lives. And as soon as our blood is shed in the cause, then we become shaheed and we become holy, not just us, but we get to take 70 other of our family members with us. That's the motivation here. And then there's a financial motivation where the family gets substantial financial support when a member of the family becomes a terrorist. I'm of the view we need to stop that. If the Palestinian Authority is using our tax money to pay for terrorism, then we need to stop it. It's a state-sponsored terrorist program. We need to put an end to it. And if it means the collapse of the Palestinian Authority, well, then so be it. If we're going to see peace in the Middle East, they've got to stop killing Israelis. And they have a one-state solution, and Jews aren't part of it. They fully intend to drive Israel into the sea. They're not giving up on that. And they don't want a separate state in West Bank. They want a complete state that goes all the way from Ramallah to Jaffa. That's their idea. And as long as we're funding it, we've got to own we're funding the terrorism.